When car buyers have such amazing options like Toyotas like this that are known to run forever, or even beautiful Mazdas now that are up and coming in reliability, and Lexus, which of course are the upscale luxury version of Toyota, it really makes a person wonder why they spend their hard-earned dollars on some of the junk that comes down the chute. I'm going to break this down to some of the big problems you're going to find with this manufacturer, a friend of ours that was hard done by as well with a catastrophic engine failure, and why anybody on this God's green earth would buy themselves a Hyundai or Kia. Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
Let's play a little game. Which one's more reliable? Are we talking about a Lexus or are we talking about a Hyundai? Here we have a Hyundai Elantra and here we have a Lexus IS300. Which one of these vehicles is more reliable in your opinion? Well, let's cut to the chase. I think we know that Lexus is a product of Toyota, and while they're not perfect, they have their flaws. They are 10 times the reliability of modern day Hyundais and Kias. Before we share the story of our good friend who owns a Kia and it actually suffered a catastrophic engine failure, we're also going to share some of the key, most catastrophic fire-inducing recalls known to Hyundai and Kia history. But before we dive into all of that, I want to give you an example of a modern day Kia that a lot of customers have literally hated because of some of the major issues with it after the fact. Here we go, and here we're talking about a Kia Sportage right in our very midst. We're looking at this little hot rod. Now it's an attractive little vehicle, and that's why people bought them in the first place. People were looking for alternatives. If you're looking for why people are buying or wanted to buy Kias and Hyundais, because they were tired of the same old song and dance. But that could have been one of their first and last major mistakes, because right here, this Kia Sportage is chock full of issues. What sort of problems can you have? Well, how about leaking radiators? How about fuel pumps, judder, buck, or fail to start? Also, other issues like misfires related to coils and as well spark plugs. Consumes oil at an alarming rate and spits it out the back end. We talk about weak suspension parts, where the vehicle starts to get wobbly and of course starts clunking and banging. We talk about premature battery draw because of some electrical issues that seem to draw on the battery. You come out a day later and the vehicle's dead. We also talk about doors that lock you in, and customers have complained that time and time again. And as we can see right here, this door right here is not fully open because it's jammed, and that's not an uncommon issue. Yes, they have great wheels on them and they have nice chrome detail, but the sheer quality interior wise will left a lot to be desired. So after people own these for a couple of years, they realized this wasn't exactly the vehicle for me. But what we're talking about here, Hyundai and Kia clearly, in my opinion, missed the mark when it comes to quality, fit, finish, and research and development. All right, so let's talk about some of the catastrophic recalls that Hyundai and Kia have exposed themselves to. 3.3 million vehicles. This is one of them. Here we have a Hyundai Elantra GT, and virtually every other model by Hyundai and Kia are exposed to this particular recall, and everything from roughly 2010 to roughly 2015-16, and you better double check on NHTSA's website for that specific recall. If you have one of those vehicles, you're definitely going to want to take a look at it. So on top of this Elantra, other vehicles, for example, like the Santa Fe Sport, the Tucson, as well as the Ascent, Azera, and Genesis Coupe are all vehicles in the Hyundai fold. As what about Kia? 14 to 16 Cadenza, Forte Coupe from 2011 to 13, K900, Optima Hybrid, Rio, Rondo, Sorento, Soul, and the Sportage. And the worst part is, allegedly, it's taking months, and many of these vehicles are still out driving on the road, and they were actually told to park outside of the garage. Don't leave your vehicle in there, bring it outside, because there's a huge fire risk. Because in fact, what you're getting is the ABS, analog braking system, the ABS that keeps your vehicle safe. So on icy roads, it gives you maximum threshold braking, but it's that ABS module that's under here that can actually be exposed to an internal leak. That's right, your brake fluid can actually rupture internally to the module and then ignite a catastrophic fire. That would literally burn the vehicle down, and there are many reported cases of such issues. And sadly, there's another big one that impacts some of the 2023 model year vehicles from Hyundai. For example, the 2023 model year Palisade, the Tucson, 2023 Sonata, Elantra, as well as the Kona. And allegedly there's 52,008 8 units that are applicable to this particular recall, and it has to do with the stop and go system that's tied in with the automatic transmission. And yeah, the stop and go system actually has a control unit, and the control unit has a bunch of printed circuit boards on it, and on that printed circuit board they have a capacitor. Well, that capacitor is known to be improperly installed and can catastrophically burn down that chip. That whole card, that printed circuit board, can go up in flames. So sadly, another big recall that impacts many vehicles that can likely lead to a fire. Another huge issue, recall, bulletin, call it whatever you want, I call it catastrophic engine failures, has to do and impacts a lot of Hyundai and Kia products. Have you ever heard of the Theta 2 GDI engines, 2 liter, 2.4? Yes, it impacts a whole pile of them. As a matter of fact, the other day I ran into a vehicle, well, I didn't literally run into it, came across a vehicle that suffered a catastrophic engine failure and burned roadside. It literally took the fire department to come out and blow that vehicle down. Unfortunately, way too many customers own Hyundai and Kia products that carry that Theta 2 GDI engine. Hyundai Sonatas, Santa Fe's, Souls, and a whole pile of SUVs and cars are all subject to carrying that Theta 2 engine. It carries both the 2 and the 2.4 liter engine. It's direct injected, and during the machining process there was a mistake. And I know I get a lot of hard press and hard news from people that said it must be a North American thing. Yes, it must be. A lot of people in Europe say that their vehicles are perfect, flawless. They've had no issues with Hyundais or Kias, and clearly vehicles that carry that Theta 2 engine here in North America have suffered a serious fate. Now, if you're not subject to one of the recalls, know this, there was an extended warranty slapped on top because of these vehicles burning roadside. A lot of these engines may start to knock, burn oil, stop inadvertently, or even just catastrophically blow up on the roadside. There was problems during the machining process of the crankshaft as well as the case of that engine, and then once that vehicle topped up with oil, put into service, ran, in many cases it ran for a long period of time before there's an issue. But a lot of that metal particulate wound up circulating through the engine oil, wound up in some cases at the bottom of the engine, locking up in the rod bearings, and resulted in hot spots. Spots that would create extra heat in the rod bearings themselves, and of course could result in actually knocking and of course spun rod bearings. Worst case scenario, all that heat started to build up excessively in one little small area, could ultimately result in a catastrophic engine failure. And unfortunately, this particular failure resulted in millions of people put out by Hyundai and Kia carrying that Theta 2 GDI engine. Now we have to remember, there was in fact an extension to the warranty by Hyundai and Kia to give you an unlimited warranty for engine failure. But there was a loophole. Did you know what that loophole was? Yes, if you did not get your knock sensor programming installed in time and your engine failed, they would void your warranty. So they had a bit of a loophole and a weasel clause that unfortunately left a lot of people in the lurch. Now, regarding our friend, she literally said she will never ever buy a Hyundai or Kia again. Now, she was rocking a Kia SUV. And the worst part is, it was a 2013, it had some miles on it, a little bit. However, unfortunately, Kia and Hyundai did extend the warranty on it. What she did sustain was a rod knock. All of a sudden, the vehicle started making some bad noises. Took it into the dealer. They basically said, had a good look at it. Uh-oh, you have a problem. They said they quoted her for a new short block, balance shaft, VVTi system, oil pump, and labor all in. Get a new engine into your car for $14,000. But where's the extended warranty? There is none. And unfortunately, she's in a place now, a predicament, where the dealer basically said, we'll give you $500 for that vehicle, not a penny more. She ended up talking to another dealer that said they'd give her $2,000 for a trade-in, just because it's probably going to scrap, which tells you right there how much margin they have in that vehicle, and they're still making a profit. But it's not about that. It is about the fact that the little bit of an insult to injury of $500, but guess what? We'll sell you a new Hyundai or Kia. That's what they were ready to do, and that was the only recommendation they had, other than pay the piper, spend your $14,000 and call it a day. And with all of that said, be sure to check out right there 2024's most reliable vehicles this year. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.